when I go and I go to get my body scan, like, is it going to show me naked on the screen, or someone's going
I
to be
was
like,
worried about that
"Oh,
too.
look at you're naked,"
I was worried about that.
I'm like, hi, Onyx fam. Welcome to the Onyx Life, where change comes with challenge. My name is Mirthell.
And I'm Rita. Today we're back again with our next podcast. We have a whole lot to talk about. A whole lot. First of all, today is the Game of Thrones finale.
Today. Really? Wow.
Series finale.
But I've been hearing like so many things about how people are so disappointed. First of all, I've heard how this is the best show ever.
Well,
then now I'm hearing that it's the worst end ever of any show ever. So I don't know. There's a lot of dichotomies going on.
We don't watch it, so
yeah.
I don't know. Like, I think we saw a few episodes of the first season
in the very beginning, like,
and I think we were
years ago.
Not my cup of tea.
Right.
And we just moved on. And that's the thing. We're not celebrating it like, I don't watch it. I know a lot of people right now are like, I've never seen it. Someone tell me about it. Like, no, that's not what we are. But we don't. All I've seen though is all the articles about what has been going on with the editing and certain things in the storyline and the plotting. I don't know. People are not happy.
No, they're not. They're really not happy. And for it to be such a good show, so entertaining, keeping people's attention, people are on the edge of their seat every time they watch it. I mean, I look through my timeline, whether it is Instagram or whether it is Facebook. It's like, whoa, so many references to Game of Thrones. Who overpowered who and what happened here and what happened there. Right. I feel like I watched a show via social media. Like, I feel like I know the show.
Right. I mean, I think it's though a little bit of, not a little bit, it's a lot of lazy editing. I mean, how are you going to leave a Starbucks cup? How did that go through all the channels? Because I know that whenever you release something, doesn't it have to go through like several channels of people watching it?
So we should probably explain it to people that have not watched Game of Thrones.
Well, apparently there was a scene and people saw that on the actual dining table there was a Starbucks takeout
hilarious.
cup. And everybody else was in their old-fashioned mugs, and
what,
then there was
time
like
era? What time era is this supposed to be in?
I mean, this looks like medieval.
Okay,
so there's definitely no Starbucks.
There's no plastic.
No plastic, no foam, no cardboard, nothing.
No recyclable.
No. So for them to leave that after all the channels, it makes me. I mean, I just don't understand it.
Right.
This has been years in the making. It's not like they've been releasing a new season every year.
But couldn't they have edited it out?
Well, they did now, but
they did.
I don't know why they let it stay there for this long. I just don't understand. I felt like, I don't know. I thought that people, like a ton of people watched something before it was released, but maybe people have just fatigue, man. They're like over it. They're like, they just want to be done.
I don't know. Somebody has probably captured that, and they're not getting rid of that easily. Editing it out.
That's going to go down in history.
Right.
But, I mean, I've heard of other ones, like another character who lost a hand, and in the past season, now the hand showed back up in a hug. Like, another person who's wearing jeans, another person they thought was wearing, like, regular, like, Nikes. Like,
no way.
There's been, like, crazy editing going on. Wires being shown, a sword looking like it was floppy. I'm not understanding. So I was hoping for their sake that this was all a part of a larger plot.
Maybe it's
to be like, hey, guess what, everyone? We were all just doing cosplaying. The whole thing. That's what I was hoping it was, because I can't believe that it would have such lazy editing.
Or have some type of time warp situation to it, like the show that we're watching.
Outlander.
Outlander, where somehow there's a time warp element,
so
and
she's
somebody
bringing Starbucks with her.
Right, like some person in the scene is actually futuristic. I don't know.
No, not at all.
Yeah, that's pretty lazy. But I heard it's amazing. Another thing is I heard, and I don't know if this is a spoiler or not, but somebody who is going to end up being the king of everything, like who is going to be the gain the throne. People don't like that person. They don't like the person that actually wins it all, and so they're really angry with that because they felt that it should be somebody else.
I heard the ending is not going to leave people happy.
Mm-hmm.
But, I think when it comes to creativity, and especially because we create, our things, you can't always have what your creative content, what flows from you, please everyone, and you can't do it for them. So yes, you want to do some crowd pleasers, obviously, but also if you have a vision, you kind of have to stick to that vision. Now, for me, this is what I don't understand. These are books, so I haven't watched it, so I'm not sure if where they're ending it. I don't even know if the author has ended it yet. Or are they going off of the books? See, like even for Outlander, they're just going book by book by book.
Right.
But I thought I read that this ending hasn't even really been necessarily written.
So they're writing
kind of
the
like
ending.
Creative.
Right.
You know, they had the creative
rights
license to do it.
Yeah.
So for me, but I'm sure though the author is corresponding and probably has a lot of input in. So I'm sure maybe he will craft his books to go along with it.
Either that, or or he's going to learn from this and he's going to be like, you know
totally change it,
I'm going to change the total ending.
Yeah.
But it's that definitely is. So do you think that you'll ever watch it? Do you think that this is now that it's coming to an end, and you know, are you going to do a binge watching of it, or is this one that you're just going to pass?
I think I'm going to pass. I think if I had heard the last season was just like, oh my goodness,
it'd have been a little bit more tempting.
Maybe I would have been tempted to do it, but I'm not really that interested. And this is the thing, I love historical dramas.
Right.
I love sci-fi. I love everything. So for me, really not to watch it, I don't know. It was just a couple of things that I just wasn't into when it came to this series.
Right.
But, everybody loves it.
For me, I tend to not necessarily watch a lot of these shows unless you get into it. So if you don't get into it, I'm probably not going to get into it.
Because I don't feel like, why would I invest all that time to be disappointed by the series ending?
Right.
I feel like that would be so anticlimactic. I just don't see the point.
Right. So what do you think about some of the elements in the show that you heard of where there's a lot of incest and there's a lot of like really way out kind of elements to it?
To be honest, that's why I didn't really want to. I personally, I didn't want to watch that.
Right.
And I'm not saying that that a lot of the other things are so much better, because if you read Outlander, there's really some interesting things there that you know you could be very uncomfortable with. But I think that there were just a lot of elements that were really gratuitous in the show that I personally was like, it kind of turned me off because I felt like it was distracting to just the plot of the overall story.
And everybody
I felt like it was just like sensational to a point, and it was just like it was tiring.
And that just goes to the point that everybody has to, you know, everyone's gonna judge art.
Yeah, exactly.
From their own perspective,
right.
And so it's not like we have never been exposed to something that may have been a challenge to our conscience.
Right.
But we had our reasons why we pushed through and looked at it anyhow, for our reasons, maybe because we needed to, you know, whatever the reasons are. Everyone has their own reasons why they will watch any particular thing. But I guess there was just something about it that just said, nah, it's just not worth
Plus,
exposing myself to this.
Plus, I think sometimes you go through these periods, I want to sneeze, but sometimes you go through these periods where I think your tolerance or your threshold might be a little bit higher or lower. And around that time, I think my threshold was a lot higher. Like, no, I don't want to, expose myself. And then over the years, by not watching it, now I'm like, I don't want to get into it 5 years later.
Right.
And now I probably my threshold is a little bit lower now, actually. And had I heard it was so great, I might have said, oh, well, let me at least give this a chance, because I love storytelling. I love to read it, watch it, whatever it is. And so I would have loved to have seen how this is going to end.
Right. And at the end of the day, like, storytelling is what it's all about. We all have stories, and our lives are not perfect. And it's how the author can take a story and tell a story, and where is that author going with that story, and how is he using it? Is he using it in a way that I would think is responsible? Then, it's worth listening to that story. I think when I look at the Bible, there's some really gratuitous scenes in the Bible.
Oh, yeah.
But,
and the stories in there.
And the stories in there are so outlandish. Like one where, men are raping a woman, and then the husband comes back, and then he, dismembers the body.
And then mails it.
And mails it all across the country.
Right.
Like, that is gratuitous, or
right.
or a woman is
right.
told to seduce a man, give him milk, and then she takes a dagger and stabs him in his temple.
Yep.
You know,
so
the story of
not,
Sodom
right.
and Gomorrah.
So it's not
and,
even like I'm sitting here saying I'll never
right.
watch those types of things.
Right.
It's just at the time I was like, this feels a little bit too gratuitous for me
right.
at the time to watch. And then,
what can the story do for me? What can the story do for me? And if I feel as though the story can help me to grow in some way, to understand something, because we all don't experience everything in life, right? There are so many things that I have not experienced. When I got to know you and I got to know your story, your story introduced me to a whole nother side of life and pain and joy and ways to do things. So I love being exposed to people's stories because it helps us to grow. Because we can't all go through the same thing. But when we hear each other's stories, it makes us more sensitive, it makes us more compassionate, and it allows us to connect with others in a deeper way, because we realize that everything doesn't go our way. Life is not our way.
Well, I think even when we're talking about Outlander, even when I watch Outlander, there are things that I was very uncomfortable with. But then I did put myself in their shoes and say, you know what, this actually does happen. And I think that, like you said, it gave me a perspective on certain types of trauma that can happen to someone. Mm-hmm. And I think it was really well acted, you know, and I think that the trauma and then the PTSD that comes from it and
right.
everything, I was really interesting. But again, that show might be too gratuitous for some people.
True.
So,
true.
You know, you just...
But that's one of the stories that we are watching together, and it's
right.
it's really interesting just to watch how the scenes play out and the differences between society in the past versus society in the future.
Right.
How relationships played out
right.
in the past versus how relationships played out in the future. How
right.
families developed back in
right.
the past, and looking at the very same culture 200 years later, and how things have changed and how some things have stayed the same. It's really interesting. Just right. I love anthropology. I love society and stuff like that.
I mean, I really feel that the main issue why I'm not watching it is because everyone is so let down. Or else I might have binged it and then been like, all right. And then today would have been a lead up to. I mean, I love events. I love events where everybody is like watching it. Like when we all watched Avengers, I loved it. You know, like when we're all about to watch Handmaid's Tale and it comes back out, and like I love it. So normally I would be a part of it.
My goodness, Handmaid's Tale.
Yeah, I'm excited because the second season. Well, actually, no, this will be the third season now.
Right.
You know, all of this is not. This is all like there's no book. This is just creative license. You
really?
know?
So the book is over now. The book has
been
ran
over.
its course.
The second season.
The book had ran its course.
The book had ran its course. Yeah.
Wow. Now it's going to be really interesting, the play between what's happening right now in society, all these laws that are being passed, just the way that life is kind of playing to the screen, and how there's this interplay between the two of them. I would have never dreamed that things would have been so close,
right,
to what was happening in Handmaid's Tale in actual life. It's and then to watch how society now is putting on the garb, that red gown, the nun and the hood, in order to protest. They're using film to protest now.
Right.
It's so interesting.
It's very interesting. So I don't know.
Well, that's really interesting. But talking about past, the way things were in the past and the way things are now, and how things are changing. What do you think about the real Game of Thrones that's going on right now between Harry and his brother?
You know what? You know, when the things really blew up, I don't know where we were, but now it seems like everything has kind of died down, at least in the press. But I do think that there's something going on behind the scenes with them. Well,
first of all, when it all started coming out, that was quite dramatic. Like they were both between Harry and his brother, what's his name again? William, right. They're like unsubscribing to each other's Instagram. No. And what was happening there?
It was, you know, Harry and Meghan have their Sussex Royal Instagram.
Right.
And they unfollowed everyone except for the causes for the month. Now, everyone was saying that while that sounds nice on the surface, because of all the other reports of there being some sort of infighting between them and William and Kate, that was the main reason. And I know that this generation, I don't even want to say this generation because they're all around like our age. Mm-hmm. But when I say this generation, I'm talking about this time in life. Unfollowing someone from Instagram is like this huge...
Right. People are watching it.
Yeah, like that's one of the signals that you are not in my life.
But did he really...
And I'm sending this message to the world.
Unfollow everybody? Did they really unfollow everybody? Or is there some people that they did not unfollow?
No, when they first got the account, I saw that they followed everybody in the royal family. From minor cousins to the Queen to William and Kate to everybody. Mm-hmm. So when they did unfollow, yes, they unfollowed everybody except for their causes for the month.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I mean, again, we're not there, so I don't know. But there are some, there's some reports about them being apart and not really talking at certain events. And then at some events, only one of them is showing up. It's definitely different.
Something is happening different.
Before he did marry Meghan, it used to be like the three of them all the time. And I understand that now that he's married and a father now, yes, you're going to be different. You're going to want to establish your kingdom, your family, your household. And definitely women, we can be very influential. And I feel that he is...
She wanted to establish her rule over him, her rule of the relationship.
Over him.
That's true. I said it the wrong way. I think that she's trying to establish their relationship. And
I think they're both are.
It's such a strong tie.
It's a natural thing that both of them are doing. I wouldn't put it on her.
I wouldn't put it all on Meghan, but at the same time, I don't think that's not typically a characteristic of men. We typically do not come into a situation and begin to feel threatened by other relationships, while a woman is very territorial when it comes to relationships, and she would want to establish, before she feels fully comfortable, she wants to establish that she's number one in his life, and then she'll feel completely comfortable, ingratiating
There's a lot
into...
of men who are very... they are very sensitive about other relationships that the woman has. Oh, and the thing is that...
I guess we could say that it happens both ways.
What the report said was that William had said, "Are you sure you want to marry her?" And then that kind of sparked their rift. So, wow. I mean, again, this is all alleged. We don't know. But, so that, to me, is not about her feeling uncomfortable about any close relationship.
If anything, it's him fighting for... his relationship. And I know that has to be going on because they had some cousins and some relatives that were actually verbally, a little bit racist in their perspective. And he literally had to fight back for her. So I think that there is some fighting going on where he's fighting for her, she's fighting for him. They're fighting for each other. Mm-hmm. And it's like, it just seems as though it's a Game of Thrones where it's like, there is a battle going on to ensure that their relationship is respected like any other relationship, and that his wife is being treated fairly. And even at the wedding, the fact that she went so black, and just to watch people's faces, you can see on their faces, oh my goodness, we don't do that. We don't do spiritual.
No, I loved it.
But it's there's a lot of I don't know, infighting that's going on, and it may not all be super huge news. Or, it may not always be something that is completely negative, but clearly everybody's trying to establish who they are and not lose who they are.
Right.
And I think that's what's going on.
Yeah, definitely. His whole identity has changed now. He's a father, he's a husband, and he did need, because remember it started when they were like, oh, they're moving out of Kensington Palace to this Frogmore Cottage.
Right.
And it started to... put things in the press like, oh my goodness, there's a problem. And I think people always thought they were going to be like this foursome, like, yeah, we're all going to do the same thing. But what I had read was they're going to be doing two completely different things in life. William is going to be king, whereas Harry is not. Harry's going to be doing his thing with Meghan, and they're going to be probably like global ambassadors for the UK, and she's very Hollywood still.
I honestly believe that Harry does not want to be king. I don't think he wants that out of life.
No, I don't think he does either. But I think
his choice of a woman shows that he has absolutely no interest.
No, but I think that because they have two totally different paths in life, for them to establish what am I going to do? I'm not going to be in my brother's shadow.
Right.
I'm going to establish. I mean, first of all, for Harry to even marry Meghan, knowing the institution he's in, knowing everything that was going to be lobbied against him. I mean, it's a lot of respect. There's a lot of love.
Oh, yeah.
I really respect the fact that he stood up to all of it and did it.
But even though he's not vying for the throne, even though there is not this battle and this, wrangling for the throne, I still think that the media is trying to create an atmosphere of competition.
Oh yeah,
and the royal family is playing into it in a sense where, like, for instance, the dress that she wore to her wedding, clearly, I don't think people like the kind of attention that Harry and Meghan are getting. And that was a downplay dress. And I don't think that she picked it. She could not have picked that dress. I mean, she's a very stylish woman, and every woman wants their day. Somebody else picked that dress and said, put this on.
She picked it. I'm sure she picked it.
She picked it herself. Like, she wanted that dress.
She did.
And she wanted it to look big and frumpy on her.
No. I think she just probably lost weight between the fittings and stuff.
They could have pinned it, man. They could have done something last minute.
But
I don't know. I think somebody's behind the scenes trying to downplay her image so that she does not come across
I hope she has a biography one day. Oh my goodness.
The tell-all.
I would love, just like how Diana did. Right. I'd love to know what happened behind the scenes.
Yeah, but we want her to live long. You know what I'm saying?
Well, yeah. I mean, obviously. But I'm just saying that at some point. First of all, they just had a baby. I think that is just an amazing solidification of this is a family. And I love it.
And that baby is gonna be black. I mean that black gene may come out. I mean, he may have red hair like the father, but it might be an afro.
And I had said this to Mirthell that when they actually, announced that they had a baby and it was a boy, I could not help but feel overjoyed for them, but a little part of me was sad because, and I think a lot of black people, all of us might feel the same way in some shape or form. Mm-hmm. But for me, I felt a little bit of sadness because I'm like, okay, now it begins.
It begins?
It begins.
Right.
You are a black
son
here.
You're a black man.
In this world. Especially in a society where that is not valued. And
that's right.
I felt a second for them, like, oh my goodness, does Harry even understand? No. He doesn't even understand. He might observe what's happening to Meghan. He might observe what's even happening to him, but he doesn't know what it's like to be
a black
male in this society. So I was just like, oh, wow. I'm just gonna pray for them. And
he has the spirit of his mother. He just took on a battle. When Princess Diana was living, she went to Africa and she would just get right in with the people. It didn't matter what disease they had. No. It didn't matter what. She just got in and she became vulnerable, willing to take on whatever challenges and take it on herself.
Yeah.
And I feel like he got that spirit. Like he's not playing safe at all. This guy is not playing safe. He's playing by his heart.
Yeah, and I know that this is what God has ordained for them. He ordained that that was going to be I don't know how to say this, but that was going to be their family.
Right.
And I'm really happy for them. But I guess a little part of me, though, knew, like, okay, this is where it starts. And 3 days later, that guy that works at the BBC was fired because he put out a picture
of a monkey. Right.
There
you go. It's starting already.
Exactly. 3 days old, and he already has to go through it. And that's why I don't feel like I was the only one who probably felt a little ways when they announced to the world. I almost thought it might have been a little bit easier had it been a girl. But no, it would have still been bad.
Oh, he would have still put out a monkey.
Exactly.
I found it. Don't you think it was pretty interesting how they were going to be sent to Africa? Like that was
weird to me.
It was a little bit weird, and what a lot of people was thinking was that they were being banished to Africa.
Well, I feel like they are. I don't know how this is going to sound to people, but when you have a newborn or even just a baby within the first year, I don't think you are going to want to take your child to certain countries. First of all, every time I had my baby, and I've had 4, I never wanted to even leave the house for a while.
Right.
And then even when we went to church, I'd be like putting the sleeves down long so that people wouldn't go and touch his or her hand.
Right.
And I didn't want people breathing on them. And then when it was freezing, like we had Shiloh in the middle of winter, I was terrified, like, oh, it's gonna be too cold to even just leave the hospital to go to the house. Why am I gonna want to take my baby now to
to a country where everybody that goes to Africa has to take like a million shots
of vaccines?
This baby is gonna be autistic if it gets all of that.
Wait, no, don't say that.
Okay, like this baby could be at risk for taking all of those vaccines in such a short period of time.
Right. So I don't understand why anybody would do that. And it's not just Africa. I'm sorry, there are other countries as well. Or first of all, Africa's not a country. I know that, a continent. But there are
the country of Africa.
Other places that I would just be like, no, I'm not going to have my less than 1-year-old child go, because it's not even like they're going to, I don't know, like a certain part of Africa where I think a lot of people will go, and maybe like
they're literally going on a mission trip, and like a baby. I don't know if a baby is there. So what makes you say that you feel like it's banishment, like as opposed to just a assignment that they're giving them?
Because the article I read literally said like that this is being discussed. Nothing's been finalized. We're trying to find a way to use their star power. Like what? What?
See, that's the whole thing. Why I'm saying like there's a Game of Thrones going on, and the sad part about it is Harry doesn't even want the throne. But what's happening is that you cannot control who is more popular. And the truth of the matter is that Harry is just more popular. His decisions, Meghan, his wife, is more attractive to the world. They're more attracted to her qualities and the makeup of their family. It's just something that the world really likes to see.
I don't want to say that she's more attractive though, because
no, not physically attractive. It's not about physical attraction. I'm talking about the qualities of having who they are coming together, their personalities.
Yeah, like star power, royalty,
right, exactly.
coming together.
That's the attraction that I'm talking about. And while William and Kate is almost like that boring sort of like, okay, safe.
Which the royalty needed.
The royalty has always been about
stable,
this. Safe.
Because what we call boring is actually functional.
Yes,
and
that is true.
I'm really happy that they have now, there was that rumor just recently about him.
Ooh.
I don't know if that's true though. I don't know. There's
there's a rumor
really
going on that
private.
William has cheated on Kate. And he's cheated on her several times, and that he's following the pattern of his father, and having like women on the side and things of that that. And I don't know how true it is, but there seems to be some evidence to indicate that there is some truth to it.
What evidence?
Somebody saw like a text message or something that I heard that they.
I didn't hear that.
I heard that someone saw like some kind of evidence that he had been, or pictures of him with somebody at a particular event or something, but it's not like a smoking gun. Like people are talking with other people or at events with other people all the time, so it's not like he was in bed, pictures in bed or videotapes. No. It's not a sex tape or anything like that.
I don't know. I'm telling you, I tend to believe that where there's smoke, there's fire, but then I also know that when it comes to ultra famous people, that a lot of lies are made up. Mm-hmm. So I prefer to not believe it, and the only reason why is because they have been so functional for so long. They had dated for so many years, and then got married, and now they've just been together for so long that yes, things can happen. I obviously know that, but now that she just had her third baby, I don't.
Why are they trying to start something? Why are they stirring the pot?
Exactly, they're just trying to find something.
Some people are saying that they hadn't been fully together, like they've been on and off at times, and so it's a possibility that something could happen on and off or whatever. Mm-hmm. But there's no evidence to this. But another theory that is being floated is that Meghan and Harry's camp, during when all the heat was going on them, that possibly someone in their camp leaked this information to get the heat off of them. So I don't know where this Game of Thrones is being played. Is it being played by the players, or is it just the people around them that are playing this game with power and prestige? Who is vying for this attention? Yeah. I don't know. It doesn't seem as though they're fighting each other, but then when we see them not talking as much, is that a normal thing? What I will say is this, is that there is clearly something happening behind the scenes, and I think that everybody plays a role in this kind of drama and tension, because even when the Queen, she did something, and I think that what she did was kind of like natural, because Kate is heir to the throne, and she took her jewelry and she was like, okay, these are the jewelry that you can wear, Meghan, and these are the jewelry that Kate can wear.
All of this is still alleged. We don't even know if that happened.
Well, that's what's being reported. And in that report, some people would say, oh my goodness, I can't believe it. Once again, they're sliding Meghan. And that may not necessarily be the case. If Meghan is not heir to the throne, then you have to have distinctions of certain things that you do. She doesn't share the same title. We're not fighting for her to have the same title. So titles are different. What you wear may be different. Certain places and access that you have may be different. You have to make distinctions when you have hierarchy and when you have royalty. So, I think people are making a big to-do. I think people don't like tradition. And so, all of this little getting in there and stirring the pot is to sort of like disrupt. some of the stability that we know the royal family to have.
We'll watch and see.
But that's kind of our take on the real Game of Thrones that's going on. So, what's happening at the cookout?
Right. So now we have a segment. We have a segment now that we're going to call the cookout, and that's when we talk about things in our culture for the culture. And what we want to talk about actually right now is what happened on Red Table Talk with Ayesha Curry.
Right.
Now, Ayesha Curry made a statement that said in the past 10 years she hasn't had any action from any guy. Meanwhile, women are throwing themselves constantly at her husband. And a lot of people took it like, why would she say that? And she's desperate for attention. She just wants to get attention to shut people down. She should never have said that. She's a married woman. I mean, I've seen every single aspect and perspective on it. My perspective on it is that I believe that she is speaking for a lot of women, period. Women like attention. We all like attention.
Right.
And whether you're married or you're single, you like feeling like you are attractive. You like feeling
watch what you say, because you could be on the next memes.
No.
Rita loves attention.
Oh, brother. No, but it's the truth, though. I'm not, like, for women don't just get married and then all of a sudden are, like, only want attention from their husband. Mm-hmm. They want to walk into a room and feel like they're turning heads. Now, especially
Why
for
is that?
her.
Why is it that?
Okay, do you only want to look at your wife? Do you only notice?
Yes, I only want to look at my wife. Yes, I only notice my wife.
I know, like, why would you say no?
I only notice my wife.
Let's not use you. Like, take an average man. Men are very visual. I'm not saying that you're a married man wanting to look at other women. I'm not saying that.
Right.
But I'm saying that you notice when a woman is attractive or not.
Right. There's certain
you didn't
natural.
Suddenly just have tunnel vision and only see your wife.
Right.
Well, the same thing on the other end for a woman.
It's very natural for a woman to desire. Right.
But it's not just for men too. She wants to go in. She wants to look
like
the best woman there.
Well, sometimes when you come to me and you're showing and you're saying to me, hon, how do I look in this dress? And I'm just like, ooh, hon, I think you look really good. Sometimes I would be like, that should be enough. Like, I just validated. I just rubber stamped that, I like how you look. But then for you, and it's not just another man, but I agree with you. Like when Sinead comes in and the girls come in and they're like, Mom, you look good. Then you're like, so it's sort of like.
Oh, please. You're the same way. You will go, like, you go to the grocery store. I'm not even going with you. I don't even see you. But what I will know is that I'll know, like, you took your glasses, your sunglasses. I smell cologne that was sprayed. And then I'll see when you come back and you look all tight. I'm like, where did you go? I went to Walmart. Really? Well, that can't be about whether you only want to look good for me.
Well, I mean, I had my scruffy years where I was just like, whatever. And now I'm in the years of my life where I just, I want to make sure that I'm looking presentable.
No, it's not presentable. There's presentable and then there's, I want to look cute when I'm going to Home Depot.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
What do you mean you don't know about that?
I can't rubber stamp that one. But I can say that there is an element to it where I think us guys can identify with it also. What Ayesha Curry was saying. But then, I mean, can it go a little bit overboard? Like,
obviously, yes.
Yes. Where you're just like, I mean, because at the end of the day, it would be really nice if it would never go overboard and everything was in its perfect balance.
I don't think she wants. This is my perspective. I don't think she wants some guy to be like, hey, can I get your number? No, I don't think that. People don't even say that anymore. But I'm just saying.
Can I get your number?
Yeah, I don't think people are like. I don't think she wants that. I think she just. At least I hope she doesn't. I don't know. But I'm just saying that I think she just wants to feel like, hey, someone else finds me attractive. But
why? Because all that's going to happen, and this is what people are saying, all that's going to happen is either she is the personality, because there's different personalities out there. Either she's going to be the one where she gets the attention so she can shoot the guy down and be like, I'm married. Look.
What do you
know
mean
what I mean?
why? There's no why.
So she can shoot him down and be like,
saying,
please, okay, please. And then have an irritated look. Hold on.
Come
Have
on.
an irritated look on her face when he does it and just be like, and that's a game, that's a show, because clearly she wants it. And then it's like, but now she's
when you put a picture on Instagram or Facebook, it would please you if I was the only person that liked it, huh?
No.
Well, why? But why? Then why do you put the photo out if you don't just want my like?
But my point is this, is that what I tend to see happening is, I'm talking about different personalities of people.
No, you said, okay? But why? Why does she want?
No, because there's certain personalities of people, so she may fall into one of these. And if she falls into the category of, look, I'm married, okay? Please, can you leave me alone? Then she becomes this dichotomy, like this warped.
That is such a stretch.
No. I have
seen
it, and the thing is that on one side of your mouth you're saying I don't want it, but on another side you're like making the other person feel like, you know, like they're like, why are you harassing me? And I'm just saying,
you just went from 0 to 100. She never said. Of course, it happens.
So if a guy comes,
she said it in life. I'm sure.
Is she not gonna be like
happens.
Steph Curry?
First of all, anybody that comes up to her is gonna know she's married already. So nobody's gonna be like, "Hey, you single?" Like everyone knows she is married.
Then there's another group
to like a great guy, and she has kids. So she's not asking to be like, "Hey, I'm married." Like she knows that.
I don't know.
They would know that.
I'm not saying that this is her.
I think what she's saying is she wants like if someone to just feel like, you know, the other men are like, yeah.
I get that, but I'm just talking about different...
I wish I was Steph Curry. That's what I think. Something like that, which probably she already has, and she just doesn't know it.
Right. I get what you're saying. I'm just saying that there's different scenarios that could be possible. I'm not saying it is. It could be possible. Another scenario is that she wants the attention, and then when the attention comes, you know, she falls prey to it. I'm not saying that she's going to actually do that, but there are some people that...
When you are getting dressed up for Walmart or wherever else you go,
I have not even agreed to that. That is the case.
That's what you do. So let's not.
I'm not quite sure about that.
But you do it. So
I'm not quite sure about that. That's what I do.
Anyway, when you get all dressed up, are you doing that so that if a girl gives you a woman says, "Oh, you look good," you can go, "Huh, I'm married." No, you're not doing that.
First of all, like I said, it is not even, we have not even established whether this is what I do. Because I don't even know what days you're talking about. But what I will say is this, is that if someone comes up to me and they approach me, I'm not going to be like, I'm married. It's just going to be like, you know, like it's just going to be, it'll just take it for what it is. That person thought I was attractive. And I'm not waiting for this moment to be like, boom.
That's what she's saying.
You know?
That's what she's saying. She's just taking it as, oh, I'm attractive.
We don't know that. I'm just saying that there's different scenarios. And there's some people that want the attention and wouldn't mind something actually happening and going down that path. And then there's some people that it's just, it is what it is. So when she came out and said that, she just left herself up to all of this conjecturing and all
I probably
she left herself open.
I probably would not have said something like that on the red table. Because I felt bad because I knew that she was going to get so much heat for that. As soon as she said it, I was like, oh no.
Right.
Oh no.
It's like that might have been something she wanted to just keep to herself. But
yeah, only because there's a lot of people like you who would stretch it and make it something that it's not.
I never even said it was. I said these are different scenarios.
This is such a normal thing for everyone. No one puts an Instagram picture and then hopes only my husband will like this. No one goes out and gets dressed and just says, well, I only hope my husband likes how I look. Like, this is not normal. We want to be attractive, and we don't want to necessarily have everyone be like obsessed stalking you. No, but everybody wants to feel a certain level of like, I look nice, or my looks can be appreciated when they leave the house or when they're going out.
I can appreciate that. I mean, I can relate to that, and I think everybody can relate to the most balanced perspective. But it kind of left her open to the discussion, and the discussion, you can't have a discussion and it's going to be a really lively, fun.
From mostly men. That's what I mostly heard it from.
Do you know why? Because it's mostly women that will be the one that when someone approaches them and says, "Ooh, you're looking good," that they'll be looking like they're like they smell something stink, like. I don't know what it's just like, hold on a second, like I'm not even talking about the ones that are obnoxious, that is coming up to you and is like being very obnoxious. I'm just saying, like, sometimes a man will come to a woman and just share appreciation for how she looks, and if this is in the nature of most women to like that kind of attention, and the person does it in a respectful way, why would you act as though it's something you don't like? When clearly some woman would like it.
You're mixing apples and oranges because that's another topic. That's another topic.
It's like a basket of fruit, and you're like, I would like a fruit. You know, well, we're going to talk about all the different type of fruits, and part of the fruit is when you talk about this topic, you're going to talk about this, and it's going to be what we experience as men. It's just so funny when we hear a woman coming out and telling the secrets that yes, I like attention, and that, but so then why are so many women like, so annoyed when they get that attention? It just seems like it's disingenuous. It almost seems like a setup. But that's, that's, bananas and not apples. Well, or oranges, yeah.
That's your, like, I know that's a man's experience, but I don't think that to take that extreme is something that you should apply to when a woman, because like I said, it's not just women that like the attention, it's men too. So you're taking an extreme situation and you're applying it to her statement that is very general, that almost everyone can relate to.
Right, and I'm not applying it, I'm just talking about it. I'm talking about the various elements of a person. There's other people that get themselves in trouble, and that was another one I was talking about, where secretly they desire not just to be desired by someone else, but they desire to have extramarital relationships. And so it's just playing with fire when you start getting involved in and tapping into that thing, that urge to be desired or desire other people. Looking at other people.
But it's a normal thing. Like I said,
there is a normal element to it.
Yes, you do it every day. Everyone does it every day. When they get dressed, when they put their Instagram picture or their Facebook or whatever you're on, Snapchat, whatever it is,
right.
You want attention to some sort of degree.
Right. I agree with that. But the truth of the matter is that I do think that there are these other elements to the conversation. And I just think it's more fun to talk about all instead of just talking about the natural boring tendencies of men and women.
But I'm not going to paint her out to be like she's desperate to just be like, oh, look, I'm married, when everyone knows she's married. And I like this one perspective I heard. And it was saying that there's a lot of men that probably have not gone up to her because they really respect Steph and they feel like they have a very functional relationship.
Absolutely.
And they, even if they didn't necessarily respect her, which I think they do, but they really respect him.
Absolutely.
And that is one of the reasons why
and they would never do that. Because look how many times, like, somebody, like me and you, we have a very open relationship. Not in that way. Not in the way that we have been talking. But open in a sense where we share everything with one another. So if somebody did approach us, it would be a very dangerous thing to come and tell me how attractive you think I am. Because guess who's going to find out? Rita's going to be probably the first person to find out because I'm going to be texting her like, guess who just said that I was good? And we'll be just sitting there like, yeah, I am fine, ain't I? And Rita be like, Rita say to it, Rita, someone come up to you, you'd be like, Mirthell, you will never know, guess what just happened?
That's true.
So-and-so, da-da-da-da-da.
That's
like,
true.
well, you know you're fine. And we would just banter because that's how it is.
Yeah.
So the same thing is with Steph and
Aisha.
Yeah. Like, the moment that anybody actually gives her a little... Steph is going to be the first person to find out, and your boy is going to be in trouble because he's going to be like, so you've been looking at my woman now. And it's just going to be embarrassing. So I just, I mean, we're all adults. We know this. We know that this is stuff that could happen. So I agree. I think that
says a lot about Steph and their marriage.
Right,
because
it does.
Had he been someone who people don't respect, she would have got a lot of play over these last 10 years.
That's true.
So I think that is actually a really positive thing, and it says a lot about what people
think
perceive about their marriage.
Right.
Yeah.
And they probably think that she is, because I think that she's not an ugly person. I think that she has a lot of attractive qualities to her.
Yeah.
So I don't think that the reason why people are not looking at her is because she's ugly.
Yeah, no.
I think
not
that
at all.
I think it's something to do with respect, and they probably do think that she wouldn't even give play to it anyhow.
Right.
As well,
exactly.
like how I said, she probably would be like, I'm married, but
the sad part is now that she said that, I just hope she's not inundated with a lot of negative, silly attention. Hey girl,
some of those memes were funny though. Oh my goodness!
First of all, our friends John and April, which we're gonna have on our podcast, and we're gonna be on theirs.
You gotta check out their podcast.
Just John and April. April said the funniest thing. She goes, well, she's really looking for attention. She needs to go down to the local Piggly Wiggly. And she'll get a ton of attention.
Right. She's just going to the wrong places. That was funny. But it's true. I mean, like, if you really want attention, but you know what? Most women, I don't think want attention from just anybody. In fact, all of what we're talking about here, she may be getting attention.
I just saw a meme this morning about that.
Right, because she's probably getting attention from all sorts of people from the Piggly Wiggly. But she doesn't want that attention.
First of all,
she wants
that sounds familiar, doesn't it?
What do you mean?
Someone who thinks they don't get a lot of attention, but then I point out that they actually do get attention. I'm just saying, wrong type of person.
No, what I'm saying to Rita, and when these conversations come up, this is what I say to Rita. And that's the reason why we've come up with some of these scenarios, because we've had this conversation before. where people respect you, they respect your marriage, they respect you as an individual, they know your relationship with your partner. So when me and Rita, because Rita's gotten attention over the years, through our marriage, she's gotten attention from a lot of people. I feel like I have not gotten the kind of attention that she has. I'm not begging for it. I'm not trying to put myself out there like Aisha, okay? I don't need the memes. I don't need the attention. But as a pastor, when I used to be a minister or whatever the case may be, like other pastors that I've heard had that story. Right. But for me in particular, I never felt like I experienced any of those kind of stuff. And so I would say to Rita, I'd be like, well, I don't know.
And then I would point out certain women that I know was giving him attention, and he would be like, no, that doesn't count. That doesn't count. She doesn't count.
But what I was saying is that I just don't feel like they were actually giving me attention. Like, I didn't feel like that was actual attention like that. I felt like maybe Rita may be reading into it or whatever the case may be. But let's just get with that kind of course of thinking that we're thinking. It's a possibility that there are types of men that she doesn't want attention from, based on your
Everybody has some sort of.
She wants the high baller, the shot collar, like that. The one that's
dressed. She doesn't want Piggly Wiggly.
No. She doesn't want the guy riding on his bicycle like, "Hey, what's up?" So I think that that could be going on too. I'm sure she gets attention in some way, but
that's what everyone was telling her around the table. But anyway, that was funny.
Yeah, definitely.
Moral of the story is, pay attention to who is paying attention to you and appreciate it. Right?
Especially your spouse. Your spouse, because I know you're trying to make digs. So basically, that's what was going on at the cookout. All right. So our next section is the Onyx Life.
So that's basically what's happening in our life,
What's happening in our life.
Well, guys, I've been talking to you guys about it for, now a year now?
It's been a year.
Wow.
About flying.
Okay.
And Rita hasn't flown, just to give the background, Rita hasn't flown for over 20 years.
Okay.
The last time that you flew, it was just a few months after our wedding.
When your brother died.
My brother died.
Yeah.
We flew out to Toronto, and nothing even major happened on that flight. I don't think that flight was...
Okay, let's just even go back a bit. Again, for those who are just joining us in our, the Onyx Life here, I used to fly a lot.
Right.
I've been to Europe. I've been all over America. I've been to the Caribbean. I've been to lots of different places. I went to Canada. I went to lots of different places. Several trips to Hawaii. Lots of cross-continental flights. So this is not a thing that I never did.
Right.
I had flown a lot. And for such a short time, because it was like when I was like elementary and high school.
Yeah, between the time of 12 to like
So even after 19. We got married, we even went to California.
Right.
After we got married, and then again we went to Toronto for when his brother died.
But the last time was 1999, February 1999.
When I stopped feeling comfortable flying was when I was coming back from Europe.
Mm-hmm.
On the way to Europe, I did a nonstop from LA to London. I was totally fine. I was reading, sleeping, watching the movie. I think this is when they still had the movie on the big screen.
Mm-hmm.
And I was fine. But it was on the way back. It wasn't a nonstop. It was going from London to New York and then from New York to LA. On that trip from London to New York, I do not know. I just felt like there was a lot of turbulence, and I was listening. At that point, you could listen to the cockpit and what they were saying, the pilots. And I heard them say, there's going to be some turbulence, and it was kind of rough. But the thing was, I felt like I was the only one thinking it was kind of rough. Everyone else was kind of like, they're just bouncing around. But then I heard like a boom, and then the plane dropped for a second, and that was the first time that ever happened to me. Now, I've had turbulence before. I've had even bad one. I remember going to the Cayman Islands from Florida. It was kind of like rough. But it was after that, I was like, wait a minute, do I like flying? And then I'm like, you know what? Once we land in New York, it's probably going to be better from New York to LA. You know what? It was probably just the Atlantic. That's what it is. And so... I don't know what was going on, but that time when we flew into New York, it was crazy. Every flight was delayed. They put us in in a hotel where everybody was put in there. It was a crazy night. People kept walking in the room because they were overbooking, triple booking every room, and it was really stressful. So the next morning, though, I'm probably at already a high level of stress because that whole night we were just getting interrupted and the whole place was crowded. We fly now from New York to LA, and again, lots of turbulence.
Right.
And then after that, I was like, I don't know if I like flying anymore, but I still flew. I still went to
so
DC. I still went to Hawaii. I still went to a bunch of places.
That the trauma that you experienced at that one time, kind of like you just tucked it away somewhere.
Right.
And then when you became an adult now, and you...
No, I was nervous already. I still didn't like to fly, but I pushed through and still went on my trips. Like I said, I still went to several trips after that. Several flights after that.
So
time.
What do you think happened?
And then,
why you
we
decided...
got married,
that you're not going to do this
right.
anymore.
I just said to myself, there's a combination of things. One of the things was we were starting to have kids. We were on a pastor's salary. I wasn't working yet. Didn't even have my degree yet. So we really couldn't afford a bunch of flights.
That's true.
And this is, like, flights weren't even as cheap as they are now.
Right.
This is pre-Expedia and all that, you know? Mm-hmm. Secondly, I did start to go, wait a minute, I'm an adult. If I don't want to do something, I don't really have to. And because some of the flights I took after when I was getting nervous, it would be like school trips. Am I going to be the only one left out?
Right.
Or family trips.
But now you're an adult now.
Like I had gone to Hawaii at least like 2 or 3 times even after I got nervous. And I'd gone to DC a few times. So
now you're an adult and you're saying to yourself basically, you know what? I don't have to do this. And I'm with the people, my husband, my children that I want to be with. Who am I going to go see? Like, what? I don't need to. And if I have to, I'll drive. So... people, we have been driving for 20 years. I mean, we'll drive everywhere.
But I mean, part of it.
And if we don't drive, we go on.
Because we didn't have the money to buy 6 plane tickets.
That's true. That's true. That is a part of the reason. But if we could not drive, if we went on a cruise, we would choose to drive to the port all the way from Toronto down to Florida. Mm-hmm. Then we would get on the cruise and we would cruise anywhere. But we were not flying to Jamaica. We're not flying to the islands.
I started to explore other ways to travel.
Right.
I wasn't going to let that bring me down. I was still going to go on cruises and we were going to drive.
Still get to the islands. We're just not going to fly to the islands. We'll cruise to the islands.
I even searched transatlantic cruises. I was like, yes, I could go anywhere. You don't have to fly.
Wow. So that was actually March. I said February, but my brother died in February and the funeral was in March. So it was actually March of 2019.
Right.
So March of 2019, this year, we decided that we were going to go on a flight. Right. So we bought the tickets.
No, it wasn't even that they decided. For the past, I would say, couple of years, I've been thinking to myself, like, you know
20 years.
I'm kind of missing out on certain things because I don't want to fly. And I remember there was a brand deal. And they wanted to fly us out to Seattle. And it was a huge brand deal.
Nintendo.
I wasn't going to say who it was, but okay, fine. It wasn't Nintendo.
Yeah.
But...
big money, everything.
Big money. And I really did not want to do it because I did not want to fly. And I started to see that as we got more and more into what we were doing with internet and entertainment and all those things, like, wow, there could be other opportunities that I turned down because of my fear. And I said, I can't have that. I can't be the one that stops my family from progressing. So I started to think about it, started to pray about it, put my vision book. Right. I had on there, Fly Without Fear, and with a picture of an airplane in the clouds. I had a scripture about trust, and I was just praying on it. And I didn't know when or how I was going to do it because, honestly, the thought of getting on a plane was just like, it petrified me. And that's what happens when you stop something. When you really, this is my biggest mistake in life was that I stopped. I should have continued to push through.
So we ended up a few years back deciding that we were going to go and take a flight. Rita decided that she was going to do that. She was going to face her fears. And the discussion was, should we go on a big airline or should we go on a small airline? And we ended up going on a chartered airline with a small plane. We felt that would have been easier.
No, see, what happened. What happened was that I was very nervous because the last time I had flown was pre 9/11. So all of a sudden, all these rules with TSA, and I was really stressed about that whole process. And I was very concerned because I started seeing videos about people fighting and all these long lines, and I felt a lot of stress. So I said, you know what, I really don't want to take a commercial flight. Let's just take a small one. Plus, I was worried I would panic. And I didn't want to panic and
in
then
front of like
300 other people.
Paparazzi.
Right.
Onyx Family mom, Onyx mom.
No, I didn't want to panic and 300 people be affected by it.
Right.
Because I know that I've seen videos where people get escorted off plane and everyone's delayed and everyone hates that person now, and I didn't want to be that person.
Right. So what we ended up doing is we ended up going with a chartered plane which holds like tops like 8 people. I think probably tops 10. But I think it was really 8.
Right.
So when we went to this particular airport just a few years ago, we went with the idea that we may not go through with the flight, but let's just go and check it out. So when we got to the airport, we told TSA, we told the agents there, we told them our story, we told them why we're there, and so we said it's a possibility that we may not take this flight, but we just want to kind of check it out, whatever. So when they saw the plane, when I saw the plane, I was just like, whoa.
Well,
I
first
mean,
of all, before we got on the plane though, the TSA agents were so nice. They just walked me through it.
Yeah.
They were saying that sometimes when you put lotion on, something could be alerted. Like they just told me everything. We took off our shoe, like everything. So I kind of felt like, wow, okay. I felt a lot less stressed about this is the process.
So we got on this plane. This plane was tiny.
Right.
At the moment they saw it, they were like, we're not going. I was like, come on, let's just go on it. Let's just go on it and let's just see. We can come off, but let's just go inside. So we went inside, and when we went inside, I could visibly see the plane like bumping down every time we went up the stairs.
It was scary.
So they went in, and everybody's like creeping around, like looking. You know, it was like the length of this chair, you know, the bench. And then afterwards, we sat in our seats, and everybody's
like, the plane might have been the size of
the whole plane was the size of this room. This like
just
the
like
length
right
of this room.
No, it was
tiny.
It was bad.
So the air stewardess came on the plane, and he's like running up the plane stairs, and all of a sudden you just see the plane going like this, and Rita is like,
it felt
what?
like it was about to take off. That's what it was. It felt the whole plane shook, and
Rita jumped up, threw the guy out of the way.
That's not what happened.
I mean, it was a mad dash, and it wasn't even that much of a dash because it was such a small plane. Like 3 steps, she was off that plane.
Well, no,
like
the kids didn't even want to be on there. They were like, no,
it was crazy
because they hadn't flown yet at all. So they were like, I do not want my first flight on this thing. So basically, we left.
We left.
So
that.
Since then, I had still been praying about it and thinking, okay, I got to some point do that.
So this March was, I would say this March was the actual 20th anniversary to actually do this. And so Rita, out of the blue, said, I'm buying tickets.
Yeah.
We're going back to where we lived before. It's going to be on a big plane.
Right.
I'm going to do this. We're just like, whoa.
That's because when in us moving to LA, it kind of necessitates a lot more flying now.
Right.
Because, first of all, we have our other house in the South. There's things that we have to do that are on the East Coast. And now there is no like, I'm going to drive 5 days.
Right.
Although I wouldn't mind it.
So she got the tickets.
Everyone else is like, no.
We're proud of her. We packed our bags. We had very small bags because we weren't going to be there long. We have clothes at our other house, so we just packed light. And we headed to the airport. So we get to the airport, and Rita's getting nervous, you know, as everything is new because she hasn't been in an airport
but
besides a small one.
I wasn't acting nervous. I was actually very calm and relaxed because I just felt like I had been taking my courses, these fear of flying courses, and so I had been more relaxed, and I was like, okay, this is great. And the wonderful thing is, we get to LAX, we get to the TSA, and the TSA agent is like, hey, my children watch you all the time.
Right, so that was really cool.
Right, so it wasn't like she let us, not go through security. Obviously, we did, but what it did was it relaxed the situation. Like, I'm among friends,
right.
And we just went
People
through
know
the whole
us.
process.
Right.
And it was actually
what ended up happening is so now we're at the airport. Now we're right there.
We're at the gate.
At the gate.
Right.
First class goes through. We did comfort class, so we were next.
Comfort plus, yeah.
Comfort plus, and so
I said, like, hey, just let's just sit here for a second. Let's let some other people go on.
So we were ready to go, but like we was like, hold on a second. Let me just catch my breath. Let me just
like, don't rush me, okay?
Don't rush me. Let me gain my composure.
Let them go. Now. Let's
just
ahead.
let the first couple seats go.
That's right.
Okay, so we let the first row go. There's like 3 different rows that are left to go. I'm like, you want to go now, honey? I'm gonna go. Just I need some time. So the next one goes. So the last group goes now, and now we're right there. We walk up to the man. The man's like, okay, can I have your tickets or whatever? And it's like, 1 second, give me a moment. And the man is looking at us like, we gotta go. Like the plane gotta move. And then Rita's just like, okay, this was great. We had a good time. Can I just get my tickets back here? Because we're not going. And it was that was it. Like, he's like, are you sure? Because, like, you guys, it's 6 of you guys. Like, there's going to be 6 empty seats. And we're like, we're not going. And that was it, folks. Like, we got this close.
So,
we got
let me
this
explain
close.
to you what happened. What happened was, I was fine right up until that moment. And then the thought of going down the gangway, it just made me go, oh, wait a minute. Why am I doing this? I don't have to do this. It was that same thought that made me stop flying 20 years ago.
Right.
I'm an adult. I get to choose. I don't want to do this, so I don't need to fly. I'm not going anywhere. There's no event. And I left. And I said, you know what? It was a great run through, guys. We got to the gate. Everything was fine. But I started to feel really guilty and bad.
She would track this flight, and she tracked the flight just to see what happened. Flight radar 24. To see what would happen with this particular flight. Did it go down?
No, I didn't think it was going to go down, but I did, just look at the flight and just go, okay, I see that it's progressing. It's in, Arizona now it's over Texas, and I saw that when it landed and everything. I didn't think anything was really going to happen, but when you don't like flying, you do tend to start thinking, but if I go on the plane, then this will happen.
Something different will happen.
So I called my coach, who's the pilot with the fear of flying class. It's called SOAR. I love it. He explained to me that the fear actually that it peaks when you're about to go on the gangway.
And obviously. He was like, he said, you should have called me because I would have told you that.
I didn't know I could call him. I didn't be like, oh, hey, guys, I didn't know I could do that. But he was saying, yeah, that's when it's going to peak. And obviously, like, common sense should say that's when it peaks because you're about to now get on the plane. But he says what happens is once you settle in, though, you will start to calm down again. So, about 6 weeks later, was it 6 weeks?
Yeah, about 6 weeks later.
6 weeks later.
Rita buys another ticket.
So I still had some credit from the other tickets. So it's not like I bought like new ones, but
right.
Now there's an event. I have my cousin's graduating. The dinner's at our house. We have to come back to a conference in California. Well, our house in the south.
So we couldn't drive.
There's no driving.
And we had promised these relatives that they could have the graduation dinner at our house
for a year.
Over a year. So now it's like we're telling people, no, we're canceling it. You can get another venue.
Yeah,
and it's just like
everyone's now I'm an adult. I can tell you can have my house, and then I can tell you can't because I'm an adult.
And then they could tell you, and then they could tell you, no, you can't do that. You can't do that to me. Like, I made plans around this.
That's basically my grandmother called me like, Rita, I wasn't going to say much, but now she got on me like, you gotta get it.
You need to get it together because you're affecting other people's life. Yeah. Not just your family, but you're affecting other people.
Okay, all right.
So our kids were like, no, we're not doing road trips anymore. So like all the pressure was just kind of like coming all down. And Rita just made the decision. She bought the tickets. I was so proud of her. She took initiative on everything. And once again, we're heading to the airport once again.
And again, I'm calm.
We're gonna show you. Calm. We're gonna show you what happens. Does Rita go on the plane, or is it gonna happen all over again? Will we ever get off the ground? The kids have not flown yet. Okay, in 20 odd years, they have not flown yet. So they have not flown. So you're gonna see what happens. Did we get on the plane or didn't we?
Come, you guys, come this way.
First time in 20 years. Are you going to do this?
Yeah. I'm ready.
Cool. We got all our bags. Everybody.
We barely got here on time.
Okay, everybody. So the last time that we came, we made it all the way to the gate. And then we turned back. So who knows what's gonna happen this time, guys? I'm gonna be recording to see if Rita makes it through. We stood in the line and we went right up to the gate, and then Rita turned around. So I am gonna show you. If you see me go through this door, that means that we made it and Rita actually went. All right, we're praying. Okay, guys, we passed this spot. And she is leading the way, heading to the plane. Okay, guys. We're about to get on the plane. We're about to get on the plane. I cannot believe it. That's 20 years, guys. That's 20 years. Rita is leading the way, guys.
And as you can see, I did. See, the wonderful part is that because I had that conversation with that man, I was reassured that once I got on the plane that I was going to calm down. And the thing was, I knew from that morning that I needed to have positive energy.
Right.
So I projected nothing but positivity to everyone. Even if I started to feel nervous, no one was going to know it.
That's true.
I was going
you were
to be
gangster. You were just like, yeah, I'm doing this.
And I was happy. I was cheerful.
Right.
We went through TSA. Everything was just working and everything was good.
I actually think the first run through was really good for you because there wasn't all these unanswered questions like what is going to happen with my shoes once I take it off? Like what is going to happen here? You know, when I go and I go to get my body scan, like is it going to show me naked on the screen? Is someone's going to be like,
I was worried about that
too. Oh, look at you, you're naked. You know. It's like, am I gonna get that square one where it's just like definitely I won't be naked, you know? Or is everybody gonna be like
because I had seen so much news about it, I didn't know what to expect with that.
20 years of expectation that it's gonna be strip search, everything. It's gonna be like.
No, but it's true. I was worried about that too. So he's right. That first time was so pivotal because I felt like relaxed. But the ironic part was suddenly, for some odd reason, we forgot where to park. When we got to the airport, I don't know
we
what
almost
happened.
did not make the flight.
We were like, where are we going to park? We ended up parking in
what happened was,
the parking lot was full.
The parking lot, they actually changed that parking lot and they made it only for stewards and pilots.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I overheard it. I overheard it when we were waiting on our way back. So what happened was, when I went there, the reason why it was closed is because it's no longer for the public. So now we couldn't find a parking lot now.
I thought something was wrong with us.
Right.
We were like, wait a minute.
We ended up going miles
Well, we were in the far economic
parking lot, the E.
Parking lot E.
And it was just like, we had to go so far to go.
And then, when we got through TSA, because some people, because you know, this is their first time, they were bringing like hairsprays and stuff. And they didn't know you couldn't bring that on. Right. So our luggage was like, had to be manually searched, the carry-ons. So it took forever.
By the time we got to the gate.
We only had like 10 minutes at the gate.
Right. So there was not enough time for all the things to conjure in Rita's head. Like, it was almost like she had to use the washroom. By the time she came back, it was like they were calling us on the plane.
That's right.
Rita just walked through there like, she was like, yo, what's up?
I led the way. I led the charge. I got on. Now, what I didn't tell them was a cold fear had just gone through my body while I was walking on there. But I was like, no, you're going to get on that plane. And I got on. But again, outwardly, I'm just smiling. I'm cheerful. Hey, everyone. I'm doing my little Facebook post and taking pictures. And, you know, I did start to settle down. And we did it. We flew.
It was awesome.
It was like a 3.5 hour flight.
Shiloh, after the flight, we were playing cards and everything. After the flight, the pilot came up to Shiloh, asked him if he would like to go into the cockpit and check out the gears.
Another thing
really
is,
cool.
A lot of people say that when you have a fear, tell the flight attendants, tell the pilot. And I remember when we did the run through, I had talked to the flight attendant, and she was like, "Yeah, I've been doing this for 40 years." She's like, "Yeah, nice ring," and I'm like, "Forget my ring, for you. Like, I'm nervous.
Give me some confidence that this flight is gonna make it."
So this next time around, I didn't even bother tell the flight attendants or the pilot. But after we landed, I went and as we were walking out, I said, yeah, it was a great flight. You know, I hadn't flown in 20 years, and this is my children's first flight. And they were floored because our kids, they weren't nervous at all. They get on this flight, and they just went to sleep. I just couldn't believe it. In fact, Shiloh looked a little bit distressed, and I was like, oh, this is my moment. I'm going to be here for him. He was like, yeah, I'm just so thirsty. He got like a soda, and he was like, oh, I feel so much better, and went to sleep. And I was just like, okay, everyone, like literally all 5 of them went to sleep.
Do you know what I found so funny though? The irony of it is, on our way back from this flight, there was a guy that was talking to Rita.
Well, no, what happened was I was sitting in my chair and I feel this tap on my shoulder, and I was like, you know, and he was like, is this supposed to happen? Because we were having just a little bit of turbulence. Mild turbulence. Such mild turbulence.
But this guy's freaking out inside.
Yeah, he's like, this is my first flight. And I was like, don't worry, man, you're okay. And I was like, oh, look at me.
It was so funny because there was a black guy. He had on like his hat and his hoodie, and you know, he just looked like he was hard. But man, he was petrified.
Nervous. And then there was one moment where we had like a little bit of a rocky turbulence, just for a second. I almost feel like it was probably some wake turbulence from another plane, because it was only for a second, but it was kind of rough. And I just turned around and I gave him like a thumbs up, like, don't worry, everything is fine.
Okay, we're not going down.
And then I wrote on this paper, I gave him the website of my SOAR class, and you know.
But it just I was so proud of you, hun, because not only did you lead the way, like you were not hesitating, you projected confidence, so much so that somebody that was actually going through what you were going through felt that energy and felt like they were able to get help from you, and you were able to be there for that person. And I just thought that was really cool. Right. It was like affirmation that I got this. This is not going to be my only flight. I am going to get on another flight.
Right. So now, okay, so that was like a 3.5 hour flight, and actually going back home, it was like 4.5 hours. So now I have to book a flight because we have to go to New York, and it's going to be we want to do a nonstop. Like, so I have the option where we can do like a stop or a layover,
right,
and break it up into like 3 and 3. But I don't really see the point. I really would rather just do a nonstop from here to New York, which is going to be like 6 hours.
Right.
So now,
look at her, like just killing the game here.
Yeah,
man.
I haven't booked it yet, but
we're gonna book it right after this. Right after, I promise you.
But it's just it's hard to wrap my head around like a 6 hour flight, which is ironic because like I said, I took a direct from LA to London, which was like 10 hours. You know, and I was totally fine. So, but this is the thing. We want to go to Europe later on this year, so I feel like this is going to be a run through.
Right, for even a longer flight. So we've been doing a lot of stuff. We've been flying around because, you know, our schedule's getting really packed. Because not only did we have to go check on our house, make sure that the person that's watching our house
do the graduation dinner,
all that stuff, do the graduation dinner. We had to get back to ClamorCon, and so we were able to get back to ClamorCon. We basically, the flight just came in, we got some rest, jumped up and headed down to ClamorCon. ClamorCon is a convocation.
It's like a
convention,
a summit.
Yeah, you know, for YouTubers and the creators, just the creators,
not for
the fans.
Not just any YouTuber, like family and kid creators.
Right, that have over 1 million or something.
1 million views at least for the last 30 days.
Right, and so it was really great. We were able to go there. We were able to meet a lot of people, and during that time period, Rita and I were on a roundtable discussion. She had to do a few panels on YouTube, and our kids were also on a panel talking about growing up on YouTube. Because we also have our network, BEU Network, Black Entertainment YouTube Network, we had to talk about growing up or creating content for the Black creation. And so we had a roundtable discussion, and we're just going to give you a little clip of it right now. Welcome to Creating for Black Audiences. My name is Mirthell.
And I'm Rita.
And we are from the Onyx Family and Onyx Kids, the Onyx brand, and also BU Family Video Network.
And I was exhausted. And I was looking on YouTube and I said, how are these people doing this full time? I mean, that would be so great if we could, I wasn't even thinking full time, if we could just do it as a family and just work together as a family. And so as I was doing my research, I came upon these skits that they were doing with superheroes. And I decided that, oh, this would be kind of cute because our kids were very young. And I thought, why not put them in some costumes? Because part of it was, I thought, well, if they're in costume, no one will know us, and it will just, be more something we can handle, because we knew that, once you go on YouTube, you're very public. So we went over there, we got some costumes, and immediately started taping. We didn't know anything about anything. We used our phone to tape. We had, I think, a MacBook Air, which really doesn't have any space. We used, I don't know, I'm not even sure how we edited it, because I don't even know if we used Final Cut Pro.
Huh? No, we used editing.
YouTube editor, that's
YouTube
right.
Editor,
We used the YouTube editor. So we just started from the basics, and we filmed a video, we put it on, and I said, well, where's our views? And saw that, oh, okay, so this is a little bit more than just taping something and uploading. After that, I started really diving into it. I started reading every article I could about YouTube and about search engine optimization, how to make catchy thumbnails. I went into it. The challenge for me was that I had no one to call, no one to ask, no one. We were like an island. And although as we started, it became, easier as we went along, within 2 weeks, I was able to actually quit my job. So we went full-time. Within 1 month, really, I was able to pay off all of our debt.
It was incredible.
And I know that our story is not typical, but I can't imagine where it would have been had I even had that community. So that's part of what we wanted to talk about today was how do we instill community?
So community is kind of where we want to shift to. And so we not only come here representing Onyx Family and Onyx Kids, but we actually come here representing Black Entertainment Youth Family Network, which is housed under Family Video Network, which is a broader network established in YouTube. Multicultural network. Ours, Black Entertainment Family Network, actually specializes in housing for Black families that are integrated with other cultures. So it's not just the traditional Black family, but also multiracial families. And so there are some unique challenges that faces the Black family in America, and you could even say globally. There are some unique challenges. And so as we are very mindful that as we are on YouTube, we are speaking to these challenges, and we're addressing these challenges, and how we choose to do that, entertaining. We believe in entertainment. We believe in family and fun. Family and fun are the values that we place out there, and that's what the Onyx brand, and that's what we live by. Because we believe that family and fun is a value system that is shared right across the world. Everybody can identify with loving their family and having fun. And so we promote those values in all of our skits and everything that we do. Now, family and fun actually goes back to the earliest civilizations. If you go back to the earliest civilizations, there's an integration between family and fun and work. And a lot of people, when they look at, are you a YouTuber and you're working with your family and your children are working? That actually goes back all the way to the beginning of time in the earliest civilizations. We've always been father, mother, working with children. It may have been on a farm with chickens and cows, but values are instilled, especially when we go back to the African community. Values are instilled in storytelling, in entertainment, and working together. It takes a village to raise a child. We know those kind of proverbs. So what would happen is you'd go out and hunt, and a part of the passage of rites as a husband or as a father would be to take his son along with him. He learns how to hunt. He learns how to provide for his family. He learns how to do that. And then they come back to the village. The women are teaching their children, celebrating. They're setting the stage for the celebration and the entertainment village. And you are actually putting back the building blocks. One of the challenges in the Black community is that our communities have experienced a certain level of brokenness. There's a certain level of brokenness. We're trying to figure out how do we come back together. These are the building blocks that we can come together. We need to play together. We need to work together. And as young children on YouTube, as they turn on television, YouTube, whatever, we need to see ourselves. People need to see an image of themselves in order to feel that they are valuable.
If you don't see an image of yourself, then you're going to think, well, maybe I'm not valuable, but whatever I see, that's what's valuable. And so it's so important for us to take the leap, take that chance, step out and show your image. Because what you're doing is that is part of the building blocks of building back community. And so children who may not be in the most privileged situations, that are wondering, am I valuable? Where's my life going? As they turn on Onyx Kids, or as they turn on Goo Goo Gaga, or Nyanelli, or some of the other channels that represent them, they're like, wow, oh my goodness, I love to laugh, I love to have fun, oh my goodness. And they live kind of vicariously through your life, but by beholding, you become changed. And so even if you're able to see something, I can't tell you the amount of people that share testimonies about, they may not have had their father in their lives, they may not have had a mother in their lives, but they had somebody in their lives that they could watch, and they could emulate, or they could live through. And that was all it took to give them that driving force to say, I can model that. And they're able to live great lives.
It's a representation of the family, that it was so important for them. I know when I was a kid, I grew up with my grandparents. My mom, she was not around at all. You know, she had many, many challenges of her own. My dad was not in my life either, so it was my grandmother. And I know that it would have been just amazing for me to see a family like ours. And I think that's why for me it's extra special to work and create a business with my children and my husband, because it was so far from what I was raised with. You know, I had a very loving grandparents, and I just know that it still does not replace that deep down need to feel desired and wanted and see the whole image of a mother, father, and children in your life.
We found that there was a tremendous opportunity being a YouTube family. One particular day in particular, we were going shopping, and we went to a grocery store, and there was a family who was homeless. They had just temporarily been homeless. When I approached him to help them out, he had shared with me that he's a security officer, and that there was a situation where his landlord let a pedophile into the home so that they could get extra money, and he was just like, I have 2 little girls, I can't be in a situation like this. So he pulled them out, and then he moved out, but he didn't have enough money for first and last, and so he was just waiting for his next paycheck. But they were homeless at the time. And so I heard his story, and I resonated with him. It was a young black guy. He was, I knew he was gang affiliated because I saw a teardrop. And I just asked him about, you know, what was going on. And he said, oh, that was my past life. You know, when I make enough money, I want to erase that. I have regrets. And I just seeded into him and let him know that we all make mistakes in our past and all that kind of stuff. I said, I'd like to help you. And as we were trying to help this family to get a hotel just so that he could get on his feet, beautiful little girls, the mother did her best to make sure that their hair was done, and they looked so beautiful. And it was so sad to know that they were going to be at least temporarily homeless, and they're sitting on the curb with a sign. And but one thing that I noticed is that they had this phone in their hand looking at something. And I asked him, oh, what's your kids looking at? And he's like, oh, they're looking at some video that they really like to watch. And apparently it was one of the people that are in our networks. It was Nyanelli that they were watching. So these 2 little girls were watching 2 little girls that looked very much like them during a very difficult time in their life. Their parents could rely on this YouTube family to create a necessary distraction and to entertain them so that mom and dad could get things together and create normalcy until they got things together so that their kids would be protected. And that's what I began to say, whoa, this may be a little bit bigger than I had imagined. I'm not just entertaining. I am not just doing this. But we are creating opportunities for children to be able to overcome some of the biggest obstacles that they may be facing, some of the biggest challenges. Some of them may be being abused, and they need a distraction. They need a hovering, a protection. They need to laugh during times somebody maybe died, maybe grandma died, and they don't know where they're going or whatever, or they don't have enough food in the home, or there's gun violence going on outside, and they need a distraction. And that's what we create, guys. We are able to give people that necessary distraction and that necessary covering at critical times in a child's life. They don't need to be focusing on adult things. They need to be children. And that's what we're creating. And so I tell these kind of stories to our network to let them know there's more to what we're doing and to continue going forward. And so I want to say that to you guys too. If you're creators, there is so much more. So every time I see a child in a neighborhood that maybe someone died in their family, there was a gunshot, or someone was abducted, or there's something on the news, and I see a little black child especially, I'm like, I wonder if they're an Onyx fan. I wonder how I spoke to them through this. I wonder what we can do. And I don't know if we shared with you that when we were doing superhero teams, we actually covered up. And we, not just because Batman is actually covered up, but we covered up because we were a little bit scared and intimidated that maybe people would see a black family and not want to watch. Or we may get like hate coming through. Racism and things like that. So we were really cautious on how to, we didn't want to expose our children to that. So we felt quite comfortable being behind masks, covering up, and you know, the costumes would cover hands, skin, everything. And but then it came the time where we had to make that decision. Are we going to show who we are?
Are we going to be afraid?
Are we going to be afraid?
Right. Or are we going to just
and
be courageous?
I can tell you right now, it felt great to be able to, I'm not saying that there was no comments, but the vast majority of individuals accepted us for who we were. Well, what we had to show, what we were showing, who we were. And our audience really embraced us. And that was really critical. Not only us stepping out and embracing who we are and presenting that to the world, but it was important to see that the world was willing to accept us for who we are. That was really healing, and it was really empowering, and we were able to go forward. But the other narrative of that is now the business side, because when we stepped out and we decided to brand ourselves as Onyx Family, we chose that name not only because of the sentimentality of what the black onyx represents, but we chose that name because we were looking for a brand.
Something unique.
And YouTube, transitioning now to the financial aspect of YouTube and the business aspect of YouTube rather than social elements, is that YouTube is a tremendous opportunity to create a financial legacy. And in the black community, that is one of the challenges that we face, creating financial opportunities. We have a lot of obstacles that face the black family. There's a lot of obstacles that face families of all minorities. And one of those is a financial legacy. And when you look at statistics, what you will find is that even amongst the Latino family, amongst Caucasian families, amongst Asian families, the black family now in the 2020s will now have a network of negative. And they'll be the only ethnic group that would have a network of negative income. And so we really have historically had a challenge of building communities and communities broken down, building finances and then it being broken down for whatever the various reasons are. That is a challenge that we face. Being able to have equal pay, being able to have all those kind of things is really a challenge that we keep on bucking against. And so building a financial legacy is extremely important. And when you are an entrepreneur and even furthermore a YouTuber, this has created, at least for our family, a great opportunity to not just work together and to model our roots of doing so, but it gives us an opportunity to create a legacy. And one of the most important things, and we try to teach other black creators, is make sure that you're not just a YouTuber. Create a brand, a safe brand that other people can attach themselves to so that it can be a mutual relationship and they can trust that if you're working with this family, you can still make money. Because there is the thought out there that sometimes persons of color, especially black families, sometimes are not marketable enough. And so what you want to do is make sure that you understand you're creating a business. And so it started with getting a brand name that could be marketable, that is catchy, making sure that our value systems are family friendly and that they're marketable to everyone. And so kind of transitioning into the business element of it, maybe you want to take over and share where we went from there when we decided we were going to not be just YouTubers making a lot of money, but we were going to be an industry called Onyx.
Right. So we were given the advice to incorporate, especially after we paid our first year of taxes. I was like, you need to incorporate, which we did. And again, carrying that name, I named it Onyx Star Media. Again, I felt like, well, my kids are stars, Onyx, and so that's how I tend to make my names. I think of, my family, but it's something that we have just been able to carry that brand now into our company. And again, we felt like we were an island. There's nobody really that we were close to that could say, oh, this is what you do with entrepreneurs in the entrepreneurship world. in the Black community, it's very, very, very highly sought after to be a doctor, lawyer, degrees. I have read so many books. In fact, you're nothing
unless you are a doctor.
Right. We have read so many books that actually show that if we started in our families with encouraging entrepreneurship, we'd actually have more wealth than if we continually push people to go to Harvard, Princeton, Yale, and be a lawyer and a doctor. Because there's a cap financially, unless you go out and maybe make your own practice. But for most people, there's a cap. Within our Black community, I think we could have a lot more representation on YouTube if we understood it in a different way, of not just, we're just here playing around, but that we're, like Mirthell said, we're building wealth.
In a very personal way, there's many people in our community that when we became YouTubers, they were very disappointed. I mean, we were both in our PhD programs, like she said, she was president of a medical company, building a medical company. I had a family practice, a counseling family practice for years before, and I was an ordained minister for 17 years. And so the people, when we were presenting that we were going to do this, they were just like offended, like, YouTube, you're going to be a clown? You're dressing up in this and you're doing this, and it was really offensive, because there is an idea that unless you are this and this and this, you're not successful. And that is so sad, because I like to go back, to ancient civilizations and historically who were we as a people, all people. And community needs a shoemaker. Community needs a farmer, a butcher. Community needs several different people in order to create community. And if all of us are aristocrats, we're just going to pontificate instead of cook. And we'll starve, you gotta have the violinist who's entertaining, and you have to have everybody. And each person has their own value systems, and you have to teach your children that whatever was placed inside of you, who is uniquely yourself, value that, because there is a place for that. So we gotta value everybody in our community. If you're gonna build a community, we need everyone to value each other's skill sets.
But what we learned as being Black creators on YouTube, there are certain challenges that come along with it. For example, there was a study that we recently were shown that showed that they did a chart and they did circles. And in that main circle, that was the grouping that would be family channels. So in this main circle, these are the family channels, and they had a bunch of channels named in there. And then they had circles that were, maybe intersecting on the edge of it. Then they had circles that were just totally outside of this main core, but like down here. And what we saw that were all the Black creators. We were in our own separate circles, away from the main core group. And this was shown that when there is suggested videos, when there is a suggested grouping or cluster of creators, we are not suggested with them. We could be making family content, we could be making kids content, but we are islands unto ourselves. And the interesting part is we're not even being suggested with each other as greatly as we could be, which is very interesting to me. And it shows that, we feel really lucky and blessed to be where we are, numbers, right? Because we know that it's not, I don't think that YouTube is doing this on purpose. Don't get me wrong. I just think that there is some sort of, it could be biasness in the software. It could just be, I don't know what it is, but it needs to be studied further.
To find out why we have these clusters. And we know that this is a business that's driven by algorithms. So if there's clusters that are coming together, and you're finding that those that are in that cluster that is being identified as family content, they're going to consistently being recommended, and we're an island on itself, that means that there's a disadvantage for Black creators, and we have to figure out why it's that. We're not making any suggestions as to why. We just need to figure out why it is that way.
The thing is, this is why we need community, and this is why we were talking about encouraging Black creators to come together, so that when we can have these stories in numbers, because we know that YouTube, they might not listen to the one-off story, but if we all come together and we say, okay, this is what we see happening in our community, then we're able to actually say, hey, we're representing, hundreds of channels here. This is the bias that we see. Can we make some changes? Can we be at the table and talk? 'Cause that's all we want to do, is just be at the table. Right. So the vision for the Black Entertainment U Family Network was that Melissa Hunter said, I see the bias, and I would like to create this branch of the Family Video Network so that you guys can have a voice because YouTube likes to listen to groups. They don't necessarily want to listen to one channel here and there. They want to listen to people who represent a group. And that's why we started it. We had no thought really to start anything like that. Because when she asked us to do it, we said, okay, if we're being asked, this must be something, that God wants us to do. So we just walked and just did it.
And one of the reasons why she asked us is because what we were doing at the time, we may not have had an advocacy group, but what we were doing is that if anybody came to us, and it really didn't matter who they were, anyone that came to us, we just made it a practice to always help people. So we were always there to say, hey, is everything okay? And then we would help them, try to do a collaboration, try to do something to help their channels. And so with that, when she was looking for a representative for this Black Entertainment Family Network, people that we had helped said, you got to speak to the Onyx family. They helped me. They did this. They did that. And I'm so glad to be working with Melissa because Melissa has the same heart. She's constantly helping everybody, just trying to make sure that everybody is being treated fair. And so it's a really great collaboration with Family Video Network.
So while we were at ClamorCon, a big announcement was made. And so a lot of people were coming up to us and giving us congratulations for it. We had known about this. Part of the reason why we're even here in California was partly for this particular project that we have been working on. And so the announcement is that
we are going to be having a cartoon that will be premiering in the beginning of 2020. And we are super excited because it's going to be based on our family, and we're going to be doing all the voicing. And what it is,
some of the writing.
It's called, yes, and the writing. In fact, our daughter's writing the theme song, and we're going to be contributing, and we are contributing to, the rest of certain parts of the writing for the show.
Right, and then we shop to some of the major networks and stuff like that. So we're really excited about this opportunity.
But you can also see it, at least initially, I think, on YouTube as well.
Right.
So a really exciting part to that is that this is something that our kids have always wanted. They've been telling us for the past few years that they want to have a cartoon.
Right.
So when this opportunity came to us, we were so happy. Now it's being done by a company called Pocket Watch.
Right. And it's being headed by a gentleman named Albie. And anyone that knows Albie, he's huge in the industry. He is responsible for so many major animations out there, some of them that you're very familiar with.
Right.
Involved in the SpongeBob movie, involved in Wild Thornberries and Blue's Clues, and just
Dora,
a ton of children content. He has been in Nickelodeon at the top, making these major moves. And just for him to want to work with us and to just affirm our children, he's watched our content, loved especially our scary content. It's just amazing. It's our kids are living a dream right now, and I'm so proud of them, and I'm so happy for them.
Right, and it's called Onyx Monster Mysteries, and it's going to be basically our family capturing monsters around the world, and it's going to be really fun, and we're just so excited for this new project. When you're doing something creatively, you want to keep stretching, you want to get into different things, and we're super, super excited about this project. But
definitely.
That's one of the reasons why we moved. We knew it would be easier to work with them and do voicing and all those different things.
Right.
So.
And the other projects that we have and the other people that we're working with, you have to be out here in California. And we knew flying was just not going to be the best option. But now, we're going to fly more. And that's why we're, heading all over the world now. And it's not going to affect our ability to grow and create content for our audience like you guys who love to watch the Onyx Family and Onyx Kids. So this is really great. This is our official announcement now that we can make the announcement. We're making it to you. We're really excited about this. And we're going to continue to give you updates. So as we're working on the project, you may see some snippets of us behind the scenes working on it just to kind of keep you along, build the anticipation, because once it drops, we are really looking forward to seeing what you think about it. So that's really, really cool for us. So that's kind of what's going on with the Onyx Life. And we just feel that we are so blessed. We hope that these podcasts and when we share our stories with you, that it will be able to inspire you. And so this last section is what we call Onyx Inspiration, where we kind of try to pull everything together so that we will be able to kind of like inspire you to be and do your best, making sure that you're living that Onyx life where change comes with challenge, where challenges that we face in life do not become obstacles, but they become like building blocks that we can continue to ascend to where our destiny is supposed to be. So one of the things I want to just kind of like share with you is sort of like that interplay between play and work in the family relationship. Like I said in my talk when we were having a roundtable discussion about creating for the Black family or for the Black audience, I was reminded of early century civilization and how we had done things for so long. For so long, families have been working together and playing together, and there has been a good scene between work and play. These days, unfortunately, in our Western culture, it's sort of like kids go off to school, parents go off to work, we don't see each other, we're on different paths towards success, when truly what we're forgetting is that, you know, wherever we are going, it's not so much about the final destination as it is about the journey getting there. And families learned in early civilizations that you go along the journey with one another. You're not just trying to get to a destination and you can go your separate ways. We're doing it together. And so what I found happening in early civilization, and it's not just the Black culture, but Oriental civilization, early Oriental civilizations, in every civilization, there's this thing where parents and children are working together. They're working together to pass on a legacy. They're working together to instill in their children and to notice the skill sets that are inside of them and to kind of validate it. So father working along son, mother working along daughter, and passing on values through this work play. And so one of the things that we want to encourage is the importance of this work-play relationship, where we're passing on the skill sets that we have. We're inspiring our children by working alongside with them. We're encouraging them. And that's why we are big. Onyx Life is big on entrepreneurship. You don't have to be a YouTuber. I mean, you know, YouTube is really great for me and Rita because with you and I, it's sort of like we get to tell stories. That's very common to the African experience. You tell a story and you pass on your values through stories, and we do that with our audience. But that same work-play relationship can be in anything, whether you're in the medical field or whether you're in real estate, whatever it is. We don't have to buy into the paradigm that you send your children off to learn from a stranger. They get to have their skill sets validated by a stranger, and then afterwards they go off and they work away from the home. We can still create a sense of village, raising our child within a village and creating that interplay between work and play. And so we want to encourage those of you who yearn to spend more time with your children, who yearn to be more involved in the way that they are growing. If you want to be a part of creating legacy where you're passing on something to your children, we want to encourage you to just contemplate how we used to do things, and that the opportunity is still here for us to continue in that great legacy of working and playing together.
Definitely, when you see us building and working as a couple and as a family, our podcast is together, our YouTube is together, the cartoon is going to be together. And at the same time, each one of us have our own separate things that we're going to be doing as well. But they'll all feed into each other.
Right.
And we all support each other. That's what our dream has always been. And I feel blessed, very blessed to be able to do that. It took many, many, many years of praying and not knowing how it was going to be. Because pre-YouTube, we had already talked about, I'd like to do something as a family.
We didn't know what, though.
I really didn't know what. And for us, it was this. But I think for a lot of other people, there's 1,000 things, 1,000,000 things that you can do together. And I really am appreciative for our opportunities that we do have. And in any way, shape, or form, I would like for us to continue this and then bring it to the next generation and the next generation. Absolutely.
So many things are all wrapped up in one. We get to pass on values by spending a lot of time with one another. We get to not just work and kind of instill in our children a sense of certain values through our work ethics, but we get to pass on legacy to them, build finances together and everything like that. And it's an incredibly wonderful life, and we want you to have that Onyx life also. We want you to be able to have that kind of relationship in your life where everything is holistic and it all comes full circle so that you can be able to truly experience real wealth. Real wealth is not money. Real wealth is the experience of life. And that's what we want for you.
And watching, please leave us a review. Please like, share, subscribe, whatever platform that you're listening to or watching us. Please go ahead and give us a like or a follow. We thank you so much again for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
Now go live that Onyx life where change comes with challenge. See you next time.